Alright guys, I just wanted to take a minute to talk to you about the Zenith project. I know it hasn't been exactly the most fascinating or fun set of videos that there are out there on YouTube. I get that. That wasn't what I was after with this one. What I was hoping with the Zenith, when I first got my hands on the Zenith, I realized, hey, this thing's not really been messed with. It's in pretty clean, good condition. This would be a good one to use as a standard for those who are going to be taking apart one of these and putting one back together. I really wanted to show what they should look like as they come apart and what they should look like as they go back together. And I really wasn't interested in this particular series in a whole lot of creative stuff like what we had to do in the Edison and other radios. I think that it's sort of like when you have a car that you want to repair and you go by the Haynes manual. The Haynes manual shows you how the car should come apart, how it's supposed to look, what everything looks like when the car is correct. When you put it back together, especially, it does the same thing. It shows you how it's supposed to go back together, no modifications, shows you how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to operate when you put it back together, what it looks like when it's correct. That is really what I was trying to do with this Zenith video. That doesn't make for real fascinating subject material unless you have one of these radios. And then if you have one of these radios, I'm hoping that this material will be valuable to you. So I tried to tell a story here or there, but this has kind of been a dry series. And I appreciate those of you that have hung in there and watched it and made especially the good comments. There have been a lot of awesome comments, and I'm really grateful for it. And I'm grateful for all the subscribers. So we're going to finish this video up here soon. I've got to do a power up. All of this stuff, by the way, has already been filmed probably almost 2 weeks ago. I've had a lot of computer issues, as you know, and so it's really delayed my ability to put videos up. But so I know what's coming. We've got the power up to do. I ran into a problem here or there in the power up, and then once that's all done, I get her aligned, which I'm not going to bore you with the full alignment. I'll show you a couple things, but I won't bore you with all of the details of it, because that's something that pretty much is the same as other radios. So we've got to do that alignment, and then I'm going to put the thing back in the cabinet. And so I'm thinking probably 2 more parts, this one and 1 more, and then we'll wrap this up. I'm already working on the next project. It's kind of good that I've had this little bit of delay, because the next project includes a record player and I needed parts, so I've had to send parts off to get rebuilt, and it'll be a couple weeks before they're back. So I'll get to work on that record player after I work on the chassis for that set. But it's good that there's been a little delay to kind of give me some buffer to get working on that project. So I'll get back to the Zenith. I hope that those of you that are working on similar radios have found something interesting and useful. And we'll get on to some more unique projects a little bit down the road. Let's do a little checkout on this radio. We'll just plug in a speaker here. Let's hook this loop antenna up so we can see if we're tuning okay. And I'm going to use a couple of knobs from my radio, my old Zenith, until those other knobs are clean. So I'll go ahead and install these guys just to make it easier to tune it. These belong to that 12S465. An identical looking radio in terms of the chassis, but just has some more tubes. They would do, it's funny, the radio manufacturers would do funny things with tubes, like to get the tube count up, because that was considered a good thing. It's like horsepower for cars, right? So in order to get the tube count up, they would take the converter, the 6A8, and separate it into a separate oscillator and mixer tube, or a first detector tube. And that would be 2 separate tubes, even though it did the function of 1 tube, and there was really no amplification change at all. But, you know, now they could call it a instead of an X tube number of tubes radio, they call it X+1 number of tubes, and I guess that was impressive. And Zenith did a lot of that. All right, so let's plug this puppy in. I'm going to have to plug it into the Variac because I've done some electrical things, until I'm sure that I haven't created any problems. I think the deoxit is probably dry enough. Okay, I've turned the isolation transformer on. Now I'm not doing any kind of big ticket test here. All I'm trying to do right now is I want to see is everything still functioning the way it did when I tested it the first time. Oh, it helps if I have, gosh, I wondered why it didn't go on. Okay, so I've turned it all the way up. Now let's put some juice to it from the variac. Let's go up to about 60 volts. Lights are coming on, that's good. No spike in current, that's good too. $60 volts, we're looking good. 75 volts. Oops, I guess I went to 85 volts. We'll probably get sound soon. Well, you heard the awful noise when I was trying to fire up this radio a few minutes ago. It was actually about an hour and a half ago. And I thought, what the heck did I do wrong? And I looked and I looked and I looked. I had sprayed things with deoxit. Maybe deoxit was giving me problems. And I looked everywhere. And it was so dumb. All it was that I had put the 6K7 tube in where the 6Q7 goes, and I put the 6Q7 in where the 6K7 goes. That's all it was. So let's try it now. I'll just turn it back on and see how we do. Let's turn the power on. It gave me time though, while I was letting the deoxit dry, figuring that was part of the problem. It gave me time to get these knobs clean. So let's give this a try, shall we? It's going up to 60 volts. Hell, we'll go right up to 90 volts. This radio is going to be turned on to 124 all at once here pretty soon. So the antenna, the loop antenna is connected and the speaker is connected. Hey, check it out, guys. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see the tuning eye? The guy that's kind of on the ground. All right. All right, now we're only at 90 volts. Let me go up to 123. 123 volts. Nice, bright tuning eye. Nice and bright. And all the action is in the middle. You're trying to pull people out. You guys see that? Now it's off center. It's facing that way. Stop paying my bills. Stop talking to my creditors. They take care of everything. Those doggone LED lights are awful. That's what that noise was.
To help stranded residents.
As far as emergency services are concerned,
let's see if the tone control is working. Holy moly. It sure is. Okay, let's try one more thing. I haven't set up any presets, but let's see if then we can get anything. It's on automatic. One of them's working anyway.
Many civil rights organizations are critical. The game of last year, a 5-point game.
All right, that'll be easy. Man, I'm telling you, this is wonderful. This radio is going to work out great. Let me get this tuning eye centered here. There we go. That's about right. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we both know what's next, and that is an alignment. We're going to do an alignment on this puppy. It's working real well so far. So I'm going to go get ready. I'm going to I'm going to empty the memory out of my camera here so that I got fresh memory and I don't run out like I did the other day. So let me go do that, and then we'll get ready to do the alignment, and it'll be easy. It'll be downhill after that. All right. I looked in my copy of Riders, and I did not see any alignment instructions for either the 1005 chassis or the 1103, which is sort of a sister chassis for this particular chassis. And I did see, you know, tube layout and where the trimmers and all that were for the 1103 and for the 1005, but no alignment instructions, not in Riders, not in Beitmans, not anywhere. Then I recalled that I had a copy of the Zenith service manual in 3 volumes on DVD. And so I went in there, found the alignment instructions. Sure enough, it was on there, and I went ahead and printed it. So I'm good to go. And for those of you who are doing a radio like this, perhaps you'd like a close look at the alignment instructions for just a second. Maybe they'll help you at some point. There we go with, there's the chassis, underside chassis layout, top side chassis layout, and the alignment instructions. Maybe you'll find that useful. All right, so I'm going to follow these instructions. I need to set up my signal generator at 4, looks like the IF frequency is 455. Let's see, I'm going to need a dummy antenna of, according to these instructions, of 1/2 microfarad. So I have a I have a 0.47. That should do it. Turn off these lights. All right. I want to connect that dummy antenna to the first detector grid. That is the grid cap of the 6A8 tube. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my signal generator to ground. There we go. And let's see here. I got 454.989, so that's pretty darn close to 455. Let's see what we do here. Okay. There we go. We are connected up. Nice and quiet. Oh, I suppose it helps. It will help me if I have a meter connected up to the speaker. All right. Now, let's decrease the signal generator strength. Turn the volume up. Now we're supposed to adjust all of these. So A, B, C, and D. Let me look to be sure. Oops, I got it backwards. A, B, C, and D. C and D. So I always start with the one that's further out, so I'm going to start with second IF right here. And the farthest one out is, it looks like D. So let me start with D. D is right here. Okay, I've peaked from those two. Let me do A and B. Okay, that one was pretty far off. Let's go back. It's always good to go through these twice. Okay, that's as good as I'm going to get the IF. Let's move on now. Let's do on the antenna post. On the antenna post of the loop, we want to use a 200 microfarad, and we want to set the generator at 18 megahertz. So let me go grab a 200 microfarad. Of course, I said 200 microfarad, and what I meant to say was 200 picofarad, but I think you knew what I meant. I want to tune it to 18 megahertz. Okay, there we go, 18 megahertz. All right, now I want to adjust K to set that oscillator to scale. K is in the very front of the radio, and it's the top one. Okay, that's the one I want to adjust. Turn the volume up. Let's see if we can make this happen. Let's check for make sure that we're on the primary, the first harmonic, or the fundamental. Now we're staying on the antenna post. We're going to go to 16 megahertz, and we're going to do M as in Mary, which is on the right hand side, the bottom one, and we're going to adjust that to get alignment of the antenna. So let's drop this down to 16 megahertz. Okay. All right, great. We did a pretty good job there. Now let's look at, we're staying on the antenna post on the loop. Still 200 picofarads. We're going to go to 4,500 kilocycles, 4.5 meg. There's a spot on my signal generator, and I've got to fix it, that I can't tune to, and 4.5 meg is right at that spot. So I'm going to go to 5 meg and just live with that. Oops, I was already there. We want to go to N for Nancy, which is the middle one in the front. So let's turn this signal generator down some. Okay, 5 meg, we're good. All right, let's adjust this. It's pretty well spot on. Now we're going to go to stay at 40. We're going to stay at 5. We're going to adjust the antenna alignment, which is adjustment Q. Q is the top one on the right side. Now we're going to do broadcast, which is the one we all really care about. We're going to go to 1400 kilohertz. Let me set the frequency generator. Let's find 1400 here. Oops, where am I hooking up here? Okay guys, that's it for the alignment on this guy. It's time to mount this thing back in the cabinet. I have set the IFs, I set the oscillator, I set the antenna adjustments, and we are pretty good to go. It's a little bit of a pain when you have to couple to this antenna here. It doesn't work as well as I like, and so what I did was I know a station at a certain frequency. I tuned it in, I adjusted, I put it on the dial here, adjusted the oscillator till I got there, then went to the other end, tuned it at that, checked the oscillator back and forth, and then peaked the antenna after I was all done with that and went back and checked the oscillator again. I hope that's the right way. I just could not get it to couple as well as I want. I could hear it, but it wasn't coupling well, and I think that this thing is actually shorting out my signal generator, and that's part of the problem. In any event, I can pick up all the stations. I can't quite get 570 down here. I can hear a ghost of it. I bet you anything when I take this upstairs, I'll hear it just fine. That's just the way that it works down here. And sometimes with a weak station or a station you're struggling with, you can go ahead and put an antenna wire on this, and it talks to this is basically a transformer, this wave magnet. And so it'll feed the primary, the transformer, and you'll get a signal in from the secondary, and it'll work that way. It's okay to connect a wire to these. I think they intended that. So when I hook up the ground to this antenna, I can pick it up. Just barely, but I can pick it up. So what I'm going to find when I get outside, that this is going to work a lot better. It's always the way it is. Okay guys, so we have ourselves a radio ready to be installed in a cabinet. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing in a box and carry it up, man. I know, I said I wasn't going to do the full alignment. But you know what? When I couldn't find the alignment instructions, I thought it was kind of important to show what I could. As I said, this video series is intended for the person who's working on a radio like this and has never done it before and really needs some detail. So next time we're going to put this thing in the cabinet, as I said, and we'll be wrapping it up with the next part. So for now, from your Western Outpost in Salt Lake City, it is Friday night, September the 1st. This is Michael, and that's all for now.